and welcome to the latest installment of this week-long KRAD COVID readings event, as I've been reading The Unhappy Ones from the Star Trek 7 Deadly Sins anthology in 5 parts. It's a Klingon story. All the stories in 7 Deadly Sins focus on one of the deadly sins, and the Klingons obviously represent anger or wrath. And the story features Kor, Kang, and Koloth, who all starred in both the original series and then later came back on Deep Space Nine. This is in honor of the release of the Star Trek Adventures Klingon Empire Core Rulebook, which I wrote several chapters for, and in honor of this whole Klingon thing, I am reading the story. And now here is Part 4. Chapter 7, Kang. As soon as he walked into Supervisor Kobik's office, Kang spoke without preamble. "Why is Sorkov still alive?" Kobik, clutching his warnog for dear life as usual, Kang thought his liver must have been constructed from rhodinium, stared at Kang as if he were a globfly he wished to swat. "What?" "The question is a simple one, Supervisor. Why is your Chief of Security still alive?" "Because he's good at his job and therefore hasn't been killed." Kang almost laughed in Kobik's face, but this was hardly a laughing matter. "There are many ways that Sorkov may be described. Good at his job could never be one of them." "Captain, you do not understand." Folding his arms across his chest, Kang said, "No, I do not. That is why I posed the question, Supervisor. Make me understand." Kobik opened his mouth as if to speak, then stopped. Then he started again. "These incidents have been solely due to the Kuchka getting the notion that they are treated more poorly than the Kemkuch." Kang had to admit to being impressed that Kobik said those words with a straight face. "A notion no doubt bolstered by a Kuchka having had his throat slit and the death being ruled an accident, while a Kemkuch dying in the same manner led to the death of a Kuchka." "My brother does not discriminate." Then Kobik smiled. "He treats all manners like the scum that they are. These are laborers, Captain, not highborn Klingons like you and I. They must be ruled with a heavy gauntlet." "We are all ruled by a heavy gauntlet, Supervisor, yet somehow your mind has difficulties that no others do." Kobik slugged down the remainder of his warnog, slammed the mug onto his desk, and said, "He is my brother! Of course he's an incompetent Todzak, but he is family!" Shaking his head, Kang said, "All the more reason to put him out of your misery." "Oh, my misery will only begin there." "Do you honestly believe, Captain, that I hired that fool willingly? And do you know what agonies I will face from our family if I am to be the one to condemn him to death? Believe me, the House of Camarag is not to be trifled with." Kang had no sympathy for Kobik's plight, but he did understand it. He knew of the Supervisor's house, and knew that, if he'd been forced to keep Sorkov safe, he could not condemn him to death, no matter how wretched at his duty he was. Kobik continued, "Believe me, Captain, no one will be happier if you and your fellow captains contrive a way to have a Diktog plunged into Sorkov's chest. But that order cannot come from me." Even as Kang considered his response, a security alarm rang out through the speakers in the office. The two masked men attacked Jurva while she was on her way to the transporter room. She was just coming off her shift and was eager to return to the Votak, where she could get edible food. Her mid-shift meal had been taken in the mine's mess hall, and Jurva would sooner eat human food than that bland, tasteless garbage again. Her journey took her on a lengthy corridor that was carved out of the asteroid rock, similar to the one she'd taken to the checkpoint on her first day when she killed that section chief. But here the lights were dimmer, some flickering, and odd shadows were being cast upon the walls. No doubt the two attackers had expected those shadows to hide them, but Jurva saw them, and their masks, the moment they entered. She simply waited for them to make their move before acknowledging their presence. One leapt out at her with an embarrassingly clumsy and obvious lunge. With the greatest of ease, Jurva used a Mokbara throw, using her attacker's momentum to toss him into the opposite wall. The other one came at her with a blade, a kutluch that looked a lot like the one she'd killed Targ with. She had placed it back in the box after wiping Targ's blood from it, and it should have been sent to the storage bay on the main asteroid. Jurva's surprise at the weapon had no impact on her reflexes. She deflected the knife strike by blocking her foe's forearm with her own. With her other hand, she punched him in the belly, causing him to lose his breath. Then she grabbed his forearm and brought it down so that the blade of the kutluch impaled his left groin muscle. The weakling actually screamed in pain at that. Jurva kicked him in the ribs, sending him stumbling to the floor against the wall, then turned to face the first one, who once again leapt at her. The second leap was no more successful than the first, and Jurva again tossed him into the wall. Now that she had a moment to take in the tableau, Jurva realized that, masks notwithstanding, she knew who these two were: Goroth and Gon, Targ's subordinates. Jurva would have been touched by their loyalty had they been in any way skilled in seeking revenge for their section chief's death. Gon was the one she'd stabbed, and he was bleeding on the floor and not moving. Goroth, however, recovered quickly from being thrown into the wall a second time and unsheathed his pain stick. "You will die today, Petach!" Grinning, Jurva said, "Only if I burst a blood vessel from laughing at your pathetic fighting skills." Goroth lunged with the pain stick. Jurva deflected it easily, then grabbed it and yanked it forward, causing Goroth to stumble right into her elbow, which collided with his left eye. As Goroth stumbled about, dazed, Jurva grabbed his head from both sides and twisted, breaking his neck. She let Goroth's corpse drop to the floor and turned to look at Gon, now in a large pool of blood. Without medical attention, he would be dead soon. Jurva found herself unable to be concerned. She tore off both masks to confirm that she was right. Then she signaled a security alert. Within a few minutes of the security alert, Sorkav reported to Kobik's office. After sparing a venomous glass at Kang, Sorkav said, "2 of my people have been killed. The perpetrator is being brought here now." Moments later, Kobik had refilled his mug of Warnog, and the door to the office slid open to reveal 2 of Sorkav's guards, who were holding their pain sticks on Jurva. Kang tensed. "What is this?" "This woman," one of the guards said, "was standing over the bodies." "Yes," Jurva said angrily, "because I was waiting for you 2 to show up so I could give a report." Sorkav started to speak, but Kang interrupted. "Then do so, Beck." "Yes, sir." Jurva sounded relieved to be responding to an order from someone actually in her chain of command. 2 of the security guards ambushed me while wearing masks. One was armed with a kutluch that had been confiscated from one of the miners, the other with a standard-issue pain stick. "And you killed them?" Sorkav said. "I defended myself, yes," Jurva replied with a snarl at Sorkav. "And then I activated the security alert myself." Sorkav walked closer to her. Jurva tensed but did not move, which was well, as the guard's pain sticks were brushing her uniform. "And yet you seem completely unharmed." Jurva shrugged. There were only 2 of them. Kang smiled at that. Morglar had always said that Jurva was the finest warrior under his command, and Kang knew that Morglar did not issue such praise lightly. From behind his desk, Kobik was manipulating his computer station with a hand that wasn't clutching his Warnog. "Unfortunately, the sensors in that corridor are down. More sabotage from the malvaq bortaS. So," Sorkav said, "we only have your word that this ambush happened as you described." "She is a warrior under my command," Kang barked. "Her word is more than enough evidence." Sorkav walked up to Kang and stared up into the captain's face. Kang somehow resisted the urge to spit on him. "It is no kind of evidence at all, Captain. The only true evidence is 2 of my guards are dead and your Beck is responsible." "Enough," Kobik said. "Sorkav, she was the one who sounded the security alert, and she waited for your guards to arrive. I see no reason not to believe her story. She is free to go." Kang looked upon Kobik with surprise. He had at this point despaired of any of those who worked in this mine having any conception of honor and duty. Then he looked at Jurva. "Return to your duties, Beck." Jurva batted aside the pain sticks with annoyance, saluted Kang, and said, "Yes, sir." Then she looked at Sorkav, turned her back on him, and left. Sorkav looked up at Kang again. "This is not over." "Yes," Kang said, "it is." Then he left the office as well. Chapter 8. Torad. Torad sat in the mess hall, alone as usual. He preferred it that way, honestly. He was raised alone by his father on Donatu 5 after his mother was killed during the battle with the Federation that occurred there 2.5 decades ago. Since father was always working at the factory, and often worked double shifts because they needed the money, Torad was generally left on his own. The idea of being around a lot of people was always strange to Torad, so he tended to stay quiet and not annoy anyone. That seemed to work well for him and led eventually to his job here at the mine. A shadow fell over him. "May I join you?" KRAD's expression of a desire to be left alone died on his lips as he looked up and saw that the man standing on the other side of the table was wearing a Defense Force uniform and the sash of a shipmaster. Practically leaping to his feet, KRAD said, "Oh, of course, sir! It would be an honor!" KRAD's father hadn't spent much time with his son, but one of the lessons he did beat into the boy was to always respect the Defense Force, even if they were Kuchka, as this one was. "Please, be seated." The officer spoke in a pleasant tone with a polite smile. "I am Kur, son of Reinar, captain of the Clothos." "Well, it's an honor to share my meal with you. I am Section Chief KRAD, son of Keldrak." Kur's smile widened. "I merely wish the pleasure of your company, Section Chief." He gave the Baccarat liver on KRAD's tray a disdainful look. I've already eaten today." "How may I be of service, Captain?" "My first officer was tasked with questioning the miners regarding the malvaq bortaS movement." KRAD nodded. He recalled Commander Kolar, but KRAD had been unable to tell him anything useful. "Kolar told me that he thought you knew more than you told him." Shaking his head quickly, KRAD said, "That is not so, sir. I answered every question the commander posed to me." "Perhaps. But he thought you knew more." "I cannot imagine what," KRAD said honestly. "I serve as a section chief, the only Kuchka among the section chiefs, according to the personnel records," Kur said. "Why is that, I wonder?" Shrugging, KRAD said, "I have been fortunate enough to gain the attention of my superiors." "Oh, you misunderstand, my friend. I do not wonder how you became a section chief, but rather, how you are the only Kuchka." That struck KRAD as an odd question. "Why would you wonder that? Such jobs are usually reserved for Klingons." "Yes, that is why we see no Jenkui in such positions, but..." Kur's words trailed off, and he folded his hands in front of him on the table. "Tell me, did you know the two victims, malvaq and Galar?" "Yes." KRAD chewed some liver before continuing. "Neither was in my section, but they were part of the same site, and we sometimes spoke on the shuttle or during meals." "Really? During meals, you say? Yet here you are, sitting alone, not with other section chiefs, not with other Kuchka." Defensively, KRAD said, "I prefer it that way." "Yet you spoke to both Galar and malvaq during meals?" "Well, not Galar, no. Not really malvaq, except for that one time." One of Kur's bushy eyebrows rose. "Oh?" "It was shortly before Galar's death. Malvaq came to me and asked if I would help him." "With what?" KRAD hesitated. "He believed that Galar killed his friend Krov." "What?" Kur's hands unfolded, and his eyes widened. Now KRAD was confused. He had thought this was common knowledge. Quickly, he explained what Malvaq had told him about Galar's feud with Krov, and how Sorkav had not investigated Krov's death, and how Malvaq then took matters into his own hands. Kur was sneering at KRAD now. "Which he did after you refused to help him." "What can I do? We are only Kuchka. It would be our words against that of a Klingon." "We are all of us Klingons, Section Chief." "Are we?" KRAD looked away from Kur. "When I look at my reflection, I see the weak face of a lesser species." "If your heart is Klingon," Kur said quietly, "then physical appearance matters not." KRAD turned to face Kur. "No? Then can Earthers be Klingons? Can Romulans? Vulcans?" Kur rose to his feet. At once, KRAD was ashamed. He had raised his voice to a captain of the Defense Force. Even Kuchka didn't deserve that as long as they wore the uniform. I apologize, sir," he said quickly. "I did not mean to—" "Be quiet! I no longer wish to hear your mewling, Section Chief. Sorkav's false judgment prevented Krov from receiving justice. When Malvaq tried to mete out that justice as is proper, Sorkav rewarded him with a coward's death. Believe me, your role in this will not be forgotten by me or by my comrades." With that, Kur turned and left the mess hall. KRAD finished eating alone, as he always did. To be concluded tomorrow. So tune in tomorrow for part 5. Check me out online at DeCandido.net. My blog is at DeCandido.wordpress.com. My Patreon is at patreon.com/KRAD. And please, please, please stay safe and tune in tomorrow for the thrilling conclusion. Take care.